Welcome to the podcast where we're harvesting humor, planting delight. Join us, Iona and Cammy. Let's have some fun. It's time for Fed by Farmers.
Hello and welcome to the Fed by Farmers podcast with me, Cammy Wilson.
And me, Iona Murray.
We are back with another weekly instalment. Honestly, I know I say this all the time. I just can't believe we keep these podcasts going.
I know.
Like, I'm rubbish at all this kind of like being scheduled, and you know, I know I've missed the odd one, but we are chasing down on 1 million audio downloads.
That's insane. I looked at YouTube, over 2 million.
Over 2
Over
million.
2 million.
YouTube's a lot easier, but yeah, it's still amazing. But YouTube is a lot easier than audio. Audio downloads are like the absolute creme de la creme of content, because a podcast is something people actively, you know, there's no fancy thumbnail to catch their eye. They just have to go and listen to it because they want to listen to it. So to do 1 million, and what will now be 18, 19 months, mostly doing one a week. I'm buzzing about it. Who do we need to thank this week?
We need to thank Crystalyx and Herdwatch.
Again?
We do, Cammy.
Again, that's been like loads of weeks in a row.
I know, but that is the only reason it happens.
Oh, that is exactly it. Iona, that's good. It's like we set that up there.
We actually
You're such a natural. We have a really funny ad to do for Herdwatch. I says to them, you know, we play the Crystalyx advert in the middle of the podcast, but see, we need a Herdwatch one. So I says, send us a fun script, and Iona and I will read it out and do it. So we've got that coming later in this podcast. But yes, thanks to Crystalyx and Herdwatch for their continued support. Herdwatch, of course, being a livestock management software app thing you get on your phone or iPad if you go about an iPad. Your phone's on a right rampage today, isn't it?
It's reminders.
Time to get up.
It's
Time to get up.
reminders.
This is usually time. It's almost 9 o'clock. This is the time Iona usually gets up.
It is not.
So thanks to them, of course, and to Crystalyx for the continued support. Who have we got in this week? Oh, you weren't here, James Little.
No, James Little.
James Little's auctioneer. Loads of people. Everybody in the farming community, I would think, will know James. James is the main prime stock sheep auctioneer. Does pedigree sales. Really interesting story. I mean, he's only 38, but he's been with that company, H&H, Harrison Hetherington, make that wrong, for 22 years.
Wow.
So since he was a boy, so good story. We talk about Bluetongue and the implications for Carlisle, because when I first saw the border, Bluetongue is a disease that's passed by midges. So the midge bites an infected animal, bites another animal, and it spreads that way. Midge is a little fly we have here in the UK as well, just in case. There'll be a lot of terms here maybe that don't make sense to people. But anyway, they've now set a control zone, and the control zone is England. They have the entirety of England is in this control zone, but Wales and Scotland are not in it. We talk about in the podcast about it. I think it's mad that Wales aren't in it. To me, Scotland I get because of climate and geography makes sense, but Wales is just like
parallel.
Yeah. Also, as James explains, there's a lot of implications for markets on the border, the English-Welsh border. And implications for him, but we'll talk about that in the podcast. Hopefully you enjoy it. For the Bluetongue thing, I think that's all I really need to cover. And I think the rest of it makes sense. We'll just dive in and do it.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Here's James. And we're here with Mr. James Little from H&H, Carlisle. Auction Mart. Or you cover all H&H, do you, or just Carlisle?
Yeah, I do a bit in a few different places. Lazenby, Kirby Stephen, Middleton still, but predominantly Carlisle, yeah.
So how many markets has H&H actually got? Do you know off the top of your head?
We're in 7.
7? Right, okay, bigger than I realised. How does that compare? Obviously, it's not a competitive industry, auctioneering.
Not at all.
How does that compare to like United Auctions? Do you know how many they've got?
I don't know off the top of my head, but they are pretty prominent up this area, and obviously the islands and islands do a lot. So I would imagine numerically they probably will have more than we do. But yeah, it keeps us busy anyway.
And before we'll obviously get your whole story, and we're going to talk Bluetongue and Carlisle market and how it's booming at the moment. Yeah. But I see H&H, maybe they've been at it for a while. They'll do quite a lot of land and property stuff now as well, do they?
Yeah, we do a lot. So really, H&H Group, the 3 main branches or branches of our tree really are predominantly farm stock, auctioneering. Then we have a property division doing agricultural property and also your estate agency stuff too. And then we have a insurance brokers as well. So that's really the three main fundamental parts of the group.
And they'll work as sort of middleman between the farmer and things like NFU or other similar
precisely.
businesses.
Yeah. So they do a lot for us in terms of bull insurance, tup insurance.
Yeah.
But they'll do your general on-farm insurance. So. And then, we can offer the full package, really. We can sell your stock, we can sell your farm, we can insure your farm. So it's, we try and cover all bases.
It's a big business, aye. What did H&H turn over last year, do you know?
Oh, now then. Don't know off the top of my head. I don't. But it's been a record year for farm stock.
Aye, of course.
So prices, volume, everything's gone in our favour. We're on course. It's just been our year end, actually. We're on course. I think we're going to post a profit of about 3 million. So,
3 million?
Yeah.
Tremendous.
So it's really good. I know everybody, commission rates, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of risk goes with the industry too. So...
And someone made the point to me here, I think it was maybe Jim Craig from Ayr, made the point is that, what was it he said? I don't want to misquote him, but it was something about like when the trade's down, the commission, the commission's the same, the market's working and a lot less money, but the trade just hasn't been down for a while.
There was a man yesterday made an off-the-cuff remark about commission rates, and I said, well, you're paying exactly the same rate as you were this time last year, it's just your stuff's worth an awful lot more, so...
It's a fair point, and that is where the market is king for when trade is good and things are scarce. You really do get your value.
Absolutely, and if the farmers are doing well, we do well, so it's a win-win.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I'd say £3 million profit across a business as big as that. I bet if you actually knew, I obviously don't know the turnover, and I don't want you just to misquote it and get it wrong, but you're probably well over 100 million turnover.
Oh
like, way over. So
miles over. Yeah,
to be left with 3 million for a profit.
Yeah, it's
not a huge percentage.
No, it's not a huge percentage. No, working on around that 4% sort of, and that's commission income. Then when you get all your costs off that, and you're not left with. We're not millionaires by any means. So
no, you anyway.
No,
maybe
exactly.
The guys near the top.
No, exactly. It does filter away. There's all sorts of costs go against the commission rate, and at 4%, it's not. You're not left with masses.
No, and it is what it is. If at the end of the day, there's a lot of competition between markets, and to get stock in, and if it was as simple as just cutting commission to draw people in, then they would use it'd be a race to the bottom. You've big running costs, huge buildings, heaps of staff.
Absolutely.
And
servicing the money. We're not getting the money in. If we could get everything in on the same day, we could work for less. But unfortunately, we've got huge volumes of stock, which are worth 25-30% more than they were this time last year, even. And to service that and keep making sure that we're paying the farmers and doing what we're obliged to do, we've got to make something somewhere along the line. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And again, just to quote, we had Jim in from Ayr, and he made the interesting thing I'd never thought about livestock markets before. And maybe all auctions are like this, although I don't know, but the livestock market guarantees the farmer his money.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Whether they get paid or not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If a firm doesn't pay us, we still pay the farmer. We're in the risk game. That's what we do, and your commission goes towards getting rid of that risk for you guys. So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You sell direct. If you're unfortunate to have a bad experience, you're not guaranteed your money. But if you sell with us, you'll get it. So.
You're guaranteed it.
Yeah.
And we'll come back on to selling lambs, but I suppose before we've dove straight in there as I often do, but this is usually where Iona pulls things back and says, James, tell us a bit about you. What's your farming background?
Family background, I was born on a family farm in Cumbria. Always wanted to take over that. It was a rented farm owned by my grandparents. Succession wasn't going to be easy. My dad rented it off my grandparents. He had brothers and sisters too, who all had a vested interest in the place. So when I was 14, I went on work experience to H&H, did a 2-week placement there, and at the end of it, they approached me for when I left school to go and start in the office, basically. 22 years later.
Is that right?
Here I am, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
So you've been mates 22 years already?
Yeah, started when I was 16, 38 now. Just turned,
Fair play.
just this week basically, 22 years there. So GCSEs, right into the office.
Yeah. Where do you stand then in terms of auctioneers, in terms of service? Is there many above you?
Not now. No, there's a couple. Andrew Templeton, he's been there longer than me. David Holiday. Then after that, yeah, you're probably getting to about me then, I would guess. So
Yeah.
it's a great place to work. I wouldn't want to work anywhere else, to be honest. There's variety. There's every class of stock being sold there. It
certainly has a variety, and obviously this will be a popular podcast because you're a very well kent face, and I love stuck in the title something about Bluetongue, so everyone will want to hear about that.
Yeah.
But obviously you touched on that there. Was the issue with the family that it had to be split so many ways it wasn't viable?
Yeah. So at home when we were farming, the farm as a whole sort of thing, we're probably in about 1,800 cows and 300 to 400 yows. Just not enough for really me to go back full time, especially with that succession hanging over us.
Yeah.
So we did look at one or two different places, tenancies and stuff to allow me to do that. I always wanted to farm. Friends are all farmers. But now, to be honest, I enjoy going. I live on the farm that I was brought up on. Mum and Dad are in the bungalow. I live in the farmhouse. I enjoy going back. It's not as big as what it was, but it gives us a bit of downtime and a bit of interest still. So
you did end up taking that bit on?
Yeah, the farm got sold maybe be coming up a decade ago now, and it was quite split up. So we went in with our neighbours. They took the parcels of land that they wanted. We got the house and buildings back, and we've got about 50, 60 acre there just to keep my dad. My dad's 74. I'm obviously tied up a lot with work, so yeah, he does the majority of the work. If he needs a hand with something, I'll give him a hand. But
but that'd be a great thing for him in many ways. That obviously, 74. Hopefully, he's still fairly able. But
yeah,
he's still at home.
He's still at home.
That's a bit even for you as well.
Clipped all the sheep this year. He's marvelous, really.
Your dad clipped the sheep.
Yeah,
tremendous.
So.
This is where Iona would usually jump in. Her dad, he's 68.
Yeah.
And I dare say there's a few more sheep. He'll have the guts of 1,000 blackies, I'd think, there at Chris Flat. And he clips them all. He sell like.
I know, amazing.
Wild. Even I don't clip up. Lizzie does most of mine.
That's right, exactly.
But no, right. So that's your background. You have got the farming bit in you. Mm-hmm. Were you more sheep or more cattle growing up?
Both. I think
What was your thing?
As a younger boy, I loved sheep because you can do stuff with them, can't you?
Yeah.
And as I've matured, I'm a fan of both now, I would say. But when you're young, when you're 7, 8, 9-year-old, you can do stuff with sheep, can't you?
Yeah.
Beef cattle isn't quite as simple. So
I was speaking at a thing not that long ago and was talking about how you encourage young people into farming. I was saying there's a lot of arable boys and dairy folk. And I was saying just get a handful of sheep.
Yeah.
You don't have to like them. You don't have to. But see if you want to get the kids, try and get them hooked.
Brilliant for kids. Yeah.
They're not going to get hurt.
No.
Even if it's, come to me and buy a couple of, or go to Carlisle and buy some pet lambs, although maybe that's the deer, too expensive for the dairy boys.
Yeah, I mean, buying pet lambs is, they can break your heart too, can't they? So.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think we started with 80, we've got 60 left.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where a milk machine and all the never been outside and you put the effort in, but it's hard work.
Yeah.
So you mentioned already you started as a boy.
Yep.
You've worked your way up. Mm-hmm. Pretty plain sailing, or what's been the big hurdles?
Pretty plain sailing. Hurdles on the way, getting experience. But I was quite lucky in my early career. I had a great mentor, David Tomlinson, who used to do a lot of the pedigree work. He was always H&H as a company are a great believer in promoting youth and promoting from within. So that pathway was always there for me if I wanted to take it. A couple of quite high-profile guys left the business when I was still really in my infancy as an auctioneer. But instead of H&H going out and hiring experienced auctioneer, they just pushed me on faster. And I'll be forever grateful for that, I guess. So. Really
difficult. I watch young people going in, to do their trade and be auctioneers, and that is the thing I always think about. Is you're 38.
Yeah.
you've got easily another 20, 25 years in you as an auctioneer, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Aye, hopefully. But so where then is the opportunity for the next person to come in?
Exactly. I think it's a generational thing as well. I think now young people come into the industry and they want to do the auctioneering right away.
Yeah.
But I think there is a lot of value in grounding, starting in the offices, getting to know your customers on a daily basis, getting to know what the trade, what they're doing, and building up a bit of rapport with them that way. And then I think they have you back then, you know, when you get into the rostrum.
Yeah.
They've seen you
Because you've been here for 5 years already.
And they've seen you come from stuffing a few envelopes and doing the lads' jobs to getting you opportunity. And I think people buy into that.
It's probably similar with a lot of young folk on farms these days too. Nobody, you know, like where we're sitting, actually this building we're sitting in right now, you know, when I was a boy, I spent all summer like snow semming the walls and pressure washing the sheds here.
Yeah.
Whereas young folk now, they just wipe straight in the tractor.
Yeah. It's hard to get, I think industry-wide, it's hard to get labour per se, but, you know, to get labour at the bottom end of the spectrum is even harder. You know, go to McDonald's, my nephew is 16, is looking for a summer job. You can get like £10, £11 an hour in McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to pay them to you're not going to pay £11 an hour to whitewash a building, are you?
No, and that's the bother the industry faces.
Yeah.
Is the wages at the bottom are so high.
Exactly, yeah. The whole thing now, young people can earn a lot of money early on. When I started, I think I was on like, I don't know, $7 or $8 grand a year, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I made this point as a young lassie worked with us, Marissa, I'm sure she'll not mind me saying, but she's now doing an apprentice agriculture engineer.
Yeah.
Now the money at that is way, way lower than a lot of pals are getting doing jobs like McDonald's or behind a desk. But when you're young, you don't need money.
No.
You need to learn. You need experience. You need qualifications. You need skills. And then you make your money.
Yeah, honestly, Cammy, when I was 16, 17 and I had £8,000, I was far better off than I am now, honestly. Yeah, like that, I absolutely was, you know. I could go out every weekend and enjoy myself, but now I couldn't fund it.
Funny,
so.
but if I could, just that story I'm saying, I used to get paid £105 for a full week's work here. And at that time, I would be 15, 16. All I needed was £5 on a Friday night and £5 on a Saturday night to get my bottle of Buckfast, and I was quite happy. That's all I needed. The rest of it was just free money. It was like, you know, I had absolutely nothing to spend it on. It was great.
Awesome.
Those were the days. But anyway, you've worked your way up to now. Give us your full title. I did say I was never going to remember it, but you try it.
Yeah, I'm a pedigree and business development manager at H&H. So I look after the pedigree department. I still do a lot commercially too. I never really wanted to be pigeonholed as a pedigree auctioneer. So weekly I sell the prime sheep, and fortnightly, well, we sell store cattle weekly, but Grant Anderson and I take it turnabout to keep our hand in at that. And business development, really looking at different avenues of sales, doing quite a lot in Ireland now. That I kind of front up on behalf of Harrison and Hetherington, and just drawing what we can from where we can.
What's you boys that put in the J-Lex sale, is it?
Yeah. So James Alexander is quite a prominent figure over there. It was a great coup for us to get him. He was doing his sales beforehand, and then he invited myself along to sell the cattle, and we cashier the sales for him and stuff too. And that's really gave us a bit of a platform over there to, you know, there's prominent people in the industry, isn't there? If you can work with those guys, people tend to follow. So
it's great advertising for you too, because the J-Lex sale's so well promoted.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, even I know, like I've got cattle now, I suppose I'm learning a bit more, but you know, it's sexy stuff. It's I mentioned it before with the Peel Boys. I was talking about, like, everybody likes looking at those blue, those big-assed muscle cattle that James has got. And I actually bumped him. He is going to come on the podcast. He'll be a good one. I met him at Balmoral.
Yeah, have you got a translator?
We might need a bit of that.
No, James, honestly, is so far ahead of his time, I think, or so far ahead of where the industry currently is.
Yeah.
Promotion, you know, is on every social media channel like yourself. He knows how to market cattle, but his product is so good as well that, you know, it's okay having great marketing, but if your product doesn't live up to it, then you last a year, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
But his stuff, the repeat custom we have and the new custom and retained custom that he's getting is incredible, really.
But it is very much obviously the extreme end of things. You know, I find with cattle and a bit like sheep, is there not an argument that there'll always be a market for those guys there? But I see it with sheep as well. People are, and I see it a bit, or not so much. I see it with cattle. The more people I speak to, there's more people moving back towards that native bred, easier calving. He's at the top end, put the work in, get the reward.
Yeah, he does a bit of both. He has, he sells a good run of like cemental cross heifers as well that probably aren't as well advertised. Everybody sees the high end prices and the extreme stuff, but he does do a bit there. But absolutely, a live calf is what it's all about. I think where James is winning is he'll give you as an extreme animal as you want, but he's using bulls that will actually carve them. And if you can do that, then of course you're going to go for that animal if that's your thing, really.
And he did £1 million at an on-farm sale.
Yeah, so that was our first ever single vendor £1 million sale, which we're kind of hyping up. I was hoping to do it, and it was getting closer and closer, but the end was getting. I think we did it with about 3 cattle to spare or something like that. So
did you have somebody whisper in your ear that it was getting close?
I just got, to be honest, I was in the rostrum. I started to get a little bit obsessed by it, to be honest. I kept like asking them to check to see where we were, but it was great to do. Great to do.
What's the commission on that?
Yeah, 4%.
4%?
Yeah, 4%.
It's not a bad day.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not a bad day.
Okay. Yeah, it was. It's fine. I mean, that's what we're there to do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And listen, it made a great headline. As I say, I noticed it as well. It was H&H. I did wonder. I was like, how are they doing that over there? But well done.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good now.
Do you know what I love, Iona? All my livestock in one simple app.
Aye, Cammy. Next you'll be telling me your cows can send emails.
Well, they can't do that yet, but with Herdwatch, managing livestock is easy. One app, all your cattle and sheep compliance records, medicine tracking, and more right there in your pocket. Tired of paperwork piling up like muck in your parlour? Sick of chasing scraps of paper when you'd rather be chasing sheep? Then you need Herdwatch.
Herdwatch lets you register your calves before you've even wiped the afterbirth off your feet.
It's funny because it says boots, but feet's weirdly weirder, isn't it? It's like, why I never had bare feet.
In your bare feet.
It's so quick, I had time left to make a cuppa and drink it.
Oh, God. Oh, it's me. Whether you're juggling lambing, TB testing, or just trying to remember where you left your wellies, Herdwatch makes sure your records are always up to scratch.
Over 22,000 farmers across the UK and Ireland can't all be wrong. Well, not this time.
Download Herdwatch now and join the herd, because the only thing you should be wrestling is the gate on a windy day.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
That wasn't very energetic, was
You're
it?
going to go another one? Right,
Yep.
here we go.
Download...
Smile when you say it and it'll sound less threatening.
No, I want download Herdwatch now. Download Herdwatch now and join the herd, because the only thing you should be wrestling is the gate on a windy day.
Herdwatch. Farm smarter, not harder. You guys will be fairly tight with the Mart. I know a lot of people use Marti, do you? Or?
Yeah, Marti, again, James Alexander. First sale we did with James, he was already using Marti before we were.
Yeah.
I used the system there, got talking to the guys, could see that there was a system there that was far beyond what we'd been doing in the past. And it's taken off. The online figures, I was just looking at them for a budget presentation last week. Since COVID, it was really COVID that changed our perception on it. It's really like a mini market now. So I think last year we turned over like £1.6 million worth of stock solely online, like, the time.
The actual winning bids online?
No, so that's only our like timed sales, so the ones that you see on a weekend.
Implements and stuff.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you've got guys that are using it all the time to buy livestock in our live sales. So it's been...
of course, you do a lot of these. I think you've got one on this week, maybe this...
like online times.
You do like 2 days. So for anyone who doesn't know, you basically, it's 2 days quite
Yeah.
often. It goes live, and then kind of like an eBay, but it's kind of like eBay for livestock.
Yeah, pretty much.
You can bid a bit. You can say, right, my limit. I quite like it because you can say, right, my limit's 500 quid.
Yeah.
I'll bid that. Then you get beat. You've still got 2 days to sue on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, when it's the live auction. To be fair, I always go for my limit in auction too because my limit's too low. But you know, you're under. You don't. I'm terrible for thinking on the spot. I'll just panic and stop.
Yeah.
Whereas at that, I'll be like, right, think about it. Oh God, right, I really like it. Or you go and bid on another one,
Yeah, exactly.
and that comes up to your limit, and you say, right, I'd rather pay a wee bit more for that one.
Yeah, and that's helped us just give a little bit more of a different arm to our business. People in Ireland now, they can't travel here freely with stock, and if they pass it, they're stuck.
Yeah.
So it gives them the chance to sell stuff at home.
Yep. Yeah, because another big benefit, they don't need to bring it to the market.
Exactly.
They
yeah.
take the pictures and
Yeah.
videos at home.
Precisely.
Most of them do their own advertising and their own pages. You know, as most of these good pedigree flocks have a good page now.
Yeah.
And then you guys just provide the platform to
Exactly. Yeah.
to sell it. Another big benefit is, and there's just no way around this with the markets, is the health point of view.
Yeah.
It's going
Yeah.
straight from that. You're buying it through the market, but you're buying it straight from that farm, taking it to your farm. It's a huge
Exactly. Yeah.
benefit.
You still got you still got all your warranties and stuff with the sheep, but yeah, it's a farm to farm simple movement.
Yeah. Mart's an Irish fella, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast with, you'll know Andy Fraser, Top Lines and
Yeah, I
Tails.
do know Andy. Yeah.
Andy, yeah. Andy, I'm sure, did a podcast with the guy that created Mart's.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah,
interesting.
They're charismatic guys, as
Yeah.
the Irish are, but the product is fantastic. The after sales is great. They're always on hand to pick up the phone.
Oh, it
if
was
there's a
interesting them
problem.
talking about how, a lot of these markets difficult with Wi-Fi now, and I think they use Starlink and different
Yeah,
things
yeah,
now
yeah.
to make it work.
Yeah, we have a Starlink. We take it out if we came here to do a sale, for example, just bang the Starlink up. You're literally onto Marty in seconds.
Oh, that's what we use for shows and stuff.
It's fab.
Oh, it's brilliant. And actually, MD in a rural property that needs good Wi-Fi. Starlink is the boy. It's dear right enough, but business expenses.
Yeah,
Get the VAT back. I also, just one last thing on the matter. One thing I absolutely loved about that guy's interview, and apologies I forgot the name now, was that how much it opens up the market to, especially during COVID and things like that, but to the old boys and girls.
Yeah.
They would sit. He says there'll be boys who'll just sit and watch sales all over the country. They just want to watch stock being sold.
Yeah. I mentioned my dad before, 74. Big believer in the auction market system. I was away in Welshpool last week selling limousines. Mondays, Wednesdays, he'll get his work done in the morning, come in at coffee time, whatever, bang Marty on, sit and watch a bit of trade. It's a great thing. It it opens up the value of the livestock market to the world, really.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. And I'll put a wee link in the description of this too, Marty. Folk can have a wee nosy and see what it's all about. Now, we're going to talk Bluetongue.
Yeah.
Do we do Bluetongue? Now, let's do the prime lamb sales first, because that's the one that really interests me and a lot of people.
Yeah.
Who writes the reports for it?
Me.
You. I've said, I don't know if you've noticed me comment before saying it's like the best report. It is the best written report. It's well presented. But I see a lot of folk copying your style now. Do you notice that?
Yeah, it's good. I can't take all the credit for how it's presented. I basically do the
Or the figures.
do the line at the top to draw people in a bit. But
That's the
Laura
line.
Miller, I think you've had her on.
Laura.
Yeah, so Laura, she's in charge of all the reports and how they're set out and stuff.
Well, then she gets the credit.
So
'cause
she gets the
Don't
credit.
get me wrong, your lines are popular. Like your lines go down well.
Yeah. I think it's reports now. I put one on. You would see it on Monday. Just banged a picture up. One of the buyers.
I didn't comment. I wanted to comment.
Yeah.
I thought I don't want to wind people up.
Yeah,
But
one of the buyers stole my phone. Started taking selfies. So I thought, you know what? I'll just use it. Just bang it on, and like hundreds of likes. And for a market report, it's just something different, just something daft. It's not aimed in any way. It's just really to get people reading.
if only that tragic thing hadn't happened to the boy at One Direction. My first comment I wanted to write was One Direction have really let himself go. but obviously it doesn't work now.
No, not quite.
But I did see some of the comments. One comment, someone absolutely nailed somebody, and it was an absolute belter. Someone said, so I'll put the picture up the screen. I don't know how you get the buyers to agree to it. Maybe you didn't let them agree to it, you just did it and it's fine.
It's fine.
One comment was, buyers used to have not respect. they used to be well presented and respectful back in my day. And someone commented saying, was that back when cash cows were worth nothing?
Yeah, so that was the guy that took the picture. So
did he write that comment?
Yeah, King Alum. Yeah.
It was a fair point.
Yeah. So King Alum comes on a Monday, buy sheep from us. They're like the oldest Asian like abattoir in Lancashire. So like wholesalers, they have an abattoir. Wholesalers, they're massive businessmen, you know. And without those guys, like the Allams, Yorkshire Halal, people like that, without them, our industry would not be anywhere near what it is.
I always say that all the time in this podcast, like they're absolutely propping us up.
And you know, you see a lot of slurs and people saying, "Oh, buyers aren't what they used to be," but they're taking massive volumes of sheep. They're supporting the live ring, which in turn drives every pricing structure in the industry.
Yeah.
And you know, you've got to really appreciate that we have people like that to support us.
And you obviously have a good rapport with them when you can do that, have that banter.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's easier to do business with people that you get along with, isn't it? And we have our tough days, but when the sales are done, we're friends at the end of the day, and that's the beauty of it, I think.
Mm-hmm. How many buyers would you have around the ring at Carlisle?
Typically now, prime sheep wise, 10 to 12.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How many of them are independent? How many of them are big, like buying multiple sites?
The dynamics have kind of changed. We've got more of the abattoirs representing themselves now. We used to have 1 or 2 buyers that would buy for 4 or 5 different outlets, but it's just changed a little bit, I guess.
But surely that's for the better. The
more 100%.
The more people buying around that ring, the more competitive.
The more people, and it's all perception. You go to an auction market and you want to see people there bidding at your stock, and it's really worked. The last 2 years, our numbers have gone up 206%. So. Yeah.
Do you remember me making a video and saying that?
I do. It still sticks in my mind. It was one of the driving forces why we pulled the throttle back a little bit.
Is that right? And you went for it.
Absolutely.
I know, good. Because I'll just quickly fill folk in. I went, and I believe at the time that was right. Someone told me that. I think that was fairly right. Was it at the time? What I said was that Carlisle sold a similar number of prime lambs to Ayr, which I found incredible based on your location.
Yeah. Probably at the time that would be correct. What I would say, we have 2 of the biggest prime sheep auctions right on our doorstep.
Yeah.
With another 2 or 3 within 20, 30 miles of us. We're so heavily populated with auction markets in Cumbria.
Yeah.
It's a fight for everything. So, of course, your numbers aren't going to be massive, but you've just got to do what you can. I think at that point, you did say that, and a few of the younger auctioneers like, "Oh, have you seen what the sheep game said about our numbers and stuff?" All right,
but I wasn't trying to slag him off. I was genuinely just saying I found it absolutely incredible, and how tidy it. It's a bloody good market.
Oh, it's class.
Bloody good market.
We've just put 2 new sheds up. It's better than ever now. It's but it's a great market, great location. We're accessible to all parts of the UK.
Right off the 74.
74 M6. You're in. 10 mile from the border. It's not. It's right. We couldn't be any better located. In terms of numbers, we always did a nice number of stock, probably 2,000 lambs a week, and not a lot of yows. But now we're doing 3,000 to 4,000 lambs, and the yow numbers are incredible. Really, we've gone up to like 1,000 to 1,500 yows most weeks. So.
Yeah. But a big part of that will be that report.
Yeah.
Like a huge part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And word of mouth. See, once you get the boys in, if they're getting a good service and they're getting a good trade, word of mouth. I've got a local guy who's been in my ear plenty of times, who you'll know very well, shares a name with you. But,
not very tall.
He's been described as that. Yeah. But like he was absolutely buzzing with it last year.
It is.
And if I'm going to stop for once before we go into that, we'll go to an advert here, because the swallows that have been causing havoc in here, I think the chicks are flying the nest now and they cannot get out. I'm going to go and open the door. So we'll have it. They can't find this one. Oh, they just found the window maybe. I'm going to open the door anyway. 1 second.
Reduce the risk of fly strike and livestock irritation at grass with Crystalix Garlics. Flies and midges are a constant pest to livestock throughout the summer and are responsible for diseases such as summer mastitis, pink eye, bluetongue and Schmallenberg. No repellent is 100% effective in the fight against airborne biting insects. However, Crystalix Garlics can play an important part in reducing the number of flies that land on livestock. Containing concentrated garlic extract, 5 times more potent than pure dried garlic, Crystalyx Garlics offers a natural defense to biting insects, with the high sulfur compounds in garlic acting as a natural insect repellent. With a full complement of vitamins, minerals, and trace elements, Crystalyx Garlics balances the known deficiencies in forage while stimulating the rumen for enhanced animal performance. Make the switch this summer to research-proven Crystalyx Garlics.
And we're back. Thankfully, they might come back, but I think that. But yeah, we're saying local man quite happy with the trade. Do you like them? Here's a question: do your buyers want the lambs with the balls on or balls off?
Generally, it doesn't. This time of year, balls on, fine. There's a few markets and outlets that do want them with the balls left on. But generally, I would say balls off.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Most of the year, majority of the year, I would say.
Right.
Wethers sell better than tups. You know what tup lambs get like?
Yeah.
Killing out percentages and stuff like that fall, and one or two of them start to sprout horns and long tails and balls and stuff. They're not ideal, but they will get weight as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, but they'll go harder, easier and stuff.
When things are wanted, anything sells. When it starts to get pulled back a little bit, then it's probably the first thing that gets hammered a bit on price.
That would suffer.
Yeah.
I mean, your market report, as we say, that's I think it's going down a storm. How do you get them so dear?
How are
you getting these? Your top prices always seems to be way ahead of a lot of places. Like, is that just a natural sale? Are you carving anything up, or how's that happening?
At the end of the day, we've got the support of the buyers. The buyers wanting a good stock there. If we need a few sheep at a good price, they're happy to do so. The guys that if they buy a few lambs over the odds, they're taking thousands of sheep off us. So 1 or 2 into a pool is not going to overly affect the 2, 3, 4, 500 that they buy. So yeah.
So you keep that's okay. So you keep them champing on, basically.
Keep them champing on, yeah. But there's open bidding. The best lambs, we've got butchers, we've got wholesalers that there's avenues for them very best lambs, and there's 1 or 2 local butchers that support us very well. They want to buy the best lambs. A lot of the Asian outlets have fantastic outlets for and jobs for the best lambs as well. So there's open competition for them.
Interestingly, and this is a misconception that was absolutely on my part, just lack of knowledge, I suppose. I thought with a lot of the halal and Muslim buyers, they would buy a lot of the bottom end stuff.
Yeah.
But interestingly, they want all the best lambs. Is that right?
100%. Like, I think once over there was the perception that they just bought the bottom end of stuff and the hill breeds, but honestly, they're almost unbeatable on the good stuff as well now. But they'll buy. The great thing about those guys is you can take the worst yow you've ever seen in your life that's fit to go into an auction, and they'll have a job for that.
Mm-hmm,
or you can have a lamb at 240, 250 quid, and they'll buy that as well.
Yeah.
And they'll buy everything in between. They just have avenues for that, and that's the beauty of it, really.
Do you think your buyers, and I know they're there to do a job, but do you think they're encouraged by the increased numbers and as a result they're quite keen to get behind this, because the way you're saying it there, it's almost like they find it a bit of fun paying dear for the odd good lamb.
Well,
when you're buying thousands, what's one lamb at 250 quid?
Exactly. And like,
but do you feel that they're in behind it, and they know that breeds success at the market and bigger numbers for them to pick from?
The more sheep they have in a market, the better for them.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence that as our numbers started to rise, the number of buyers started to rise as well. You can't have one without the other, but they need to go hand in hand as well. And yeah, they love seeing new people selling, and if they've got the right stock, then they're fully prepared to pay the price and a premium to ensure that they come back with the stock.
Are the buyers all men?
At present, yeah, but not always.
No, but right. But 12 men filled with testosterone and egos,
Yep.
standing round the ring.
Yeah.
You must get a bit of hassle now and again.
Yeah, a lot of hassle. Yeah, but that's
Is there a lot of rowing at the ringside, or
there can be that. You know, at certain times of year as well. A lot of the rows, honestly, I don't know if you ever noticed it, but if stuff's a bad trade, they'll be in a far worse humour than they are if they're just allowed to buy them. You know, they're there to do a job. They're there to buy stock.
When they're being pulled back.
If they're being pulled back, or if you're owning your own abattoir, and if you're needing to give a bad price, it's generally because at the other end
You're getting hit.
Mm-hmm. So that's generally when they are in a bad humour. When things are a good trade, the farmers are happy, the buyers are happy. There's no hassles, nobody holding you up saying, whoa, these are worth 50 pence more than, you know, they're getting. And the buyers are happy to pay it. So
do you still do one thing I thought was really good back that time I went down to I've been to Carlisle loads of times, but I happened to be there on a store sale day. Why was that again? Was that when we were doing the dispersal for... No, why was that? I can't remember. I was filming something with the sheep game. I can't remember what we're doing there now.
Star sheep.
Was it store...
Are you stalking star sheep?
No, it wasn't my store sheep. I can't remember. I was filming something with the sheep. Oh, it wasn't... Oh, it was the same day as the Innovis sale. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I was down buying a tup.
Day.
That's what it was. But do you still do the store lambs? I thought this was great. Maybe you don't do it anymore. Do you still do the store lambs?
No, we do, yeah.
Are they before or after?
I think at the time you were there, we probably were selling them before.
Yeah, I think it was.
They're in two separate rings now.
So you have split it?
Yeah. It
just because of numbers?
It always has been split, but when numbers were a little bit tighter at certain times of year, sometimes we do put them through one ring. Just
to be fair, the other ring was getting used by the Innovis sheep.
Yeah.
So that would be why it would be split. Yeah, I just thought it was great because your fat ring was there's so many farmers and folk there just watching the fat as well.
Yeah, there is a lot of people. Footfall wise, for a prime sheep sale, it is pretty busy. A lot of people stop with the lambs. But on top of that, now we have a lot of guys sending arctic loads of sheep. We never even see them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've just got that trust in the system that we'll sort the sheep, we'll sell them to the best of our ability. And
so moving on, obviously prime sales booming, numbers are growing all the time. Your report's very popular, gets a lot of comments. You do some job selling pet lambs as well, that always gets a laugh. You do all these pedigree sales, you have all these split rings, and you can sell. One thing I absolutely love is that you can do, you know, Dutch spotted and swarbles and whatever all in the one day in different rings, and there's a real buzz about it. So you're a hub for a lot of the pedigree vendors, and as we've said, the prime sheep, but specifically for prime and for pedigree and breeding sheep, you're a real hub for a lot of people in Scotland.
Yep.
And that moves on to the Bluetongue thing. Mm-hmm. When I first heard about it, and I'd heard rumours a while before that they were going to be closing the border at England, and my first thought was, for markets like yourself and for Longtown as well, you know, how's that work for you guys? Because you've lost, I'm not saying you're losing half your customers for breeding sheep, but you must be a good percentage of them.
Yeah, not ideal, obviously. Where we are very lucky is that we do have a location at Lockerbie as well. So what we're looking to do as we sit here today is use Lockerbie to sell the Scottish pedigree sheep along with the Welsh and the Irish. So they can be sold without restriction.
And the Welsh can pass through England?
Yeah, amazingly, yeah. They can drive through England.
To Scotland?
To Scotland.
What?
Yeah.
Is that right? I thought I'd read all the rules, but I must have missed that one. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
good for you, of course. But
exactly. Yeah, that's just how it's been.
Because you've got a lot of Cheviot mules for your big and breeding sheep like that will come up here.
Longtown's more on the Cheviot mules. We do a lot more north of England mules. Really. So would you roundabout? So.
You wouldn't really get much out of Wales, would you, for breeding sheep?
Breeding sheep,
more buyers.
Yeah, breeding sheep wise, buyers out of Wales. So obviously, unless they're pre-movement tested, they can't go back there. But we do a lot of. There's a lot of pedigree sheep comes out of Wales to Carlisle. So
yeah, of course, the pedigree side. So, you'll have pedigree sheep from everywhere.
Yeah. So, all four nations, Highlands, Islands. You know, they travel from all over to Carlisle, which has made it difficult, obviously. But the only thing we really could do, we're just going to have to use Lockerbie, have 2-day sales, sell what I've just said in Lockerbie on a Thursday or Friday, and Carlisle the following day for the English guys.
Okay. Yeah. And I suppose that way the English buyers is pretty close. I mean, it's literally about half an hour or 45 minutes.
Lockerbie.
Yeah.
25, 30 minutes will get you there.
Yeah. So which is partly why the whole thing's kind of isn't crazy. You know, there's old argument like the midges don't stop at the border type thing, but I suppose they have to draw a line. Well, do they have to draw a line somewhere? That's the other question. But yeah, if you do it consecutively, then your buyers travelling can do both sales quite easily.
Yeah, the thought behind it was that it keeps the societies together, and it allows, you know, over a 2-day sale, the people are travelling for the 2 days anyway. So half an hour up the road and then back down into Carlisle for the next day isn't as bigger impact as maybe it could have been. No. If it had been left. If we didn't have Lockerbie, we'd be in a mess. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you'd lose a lot. I would think. You might suffer a bit anyway.
I think really, I mentioned budget presentations before. We've readjusted our budget for the forthcoming year to allow for the lack of stock due to Bluetongue restrictions, which is a sensible thing to do. From a business perspective, I would say.
Have you already seen you've had a prime sale? You had a prime sale on Monday.
Prime sale Monday, so that was the 30th of June, so everything could come.
Okay, so you're waiting to see are the Scottish boys going to hold back?
I don't think so. I can't see any reason why they would need to. The vast majority of the sheep that come into Carlisle go south to be slaughtered. There is a couple of abattoirs north of the border, but again, they can go there.
You can slaughter.
You can go there. So prime sheep wise, I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
I'm openly encouraging people to come because we do need the numbers, and we've got to push on. I sold store cattle yesterday. That's a little bit of a different job. We would lose a couple of quite big volume buyers yesterday, simply because they can't buy them. I think there was one consignment of store cattle yesterday which had been Bluetongue vaccinated, which until we get a large percentage of our sale vaccinated, we're going to lose out. But trade, amazingly, you know what farmers are like. Trade was actually better than the previous week because they thought, there'll be a couple of guys not there.
So they'll turn up.
Bit of perception. We'll go and have a bit of that. And
there's more buyers than ever.
Exactly. They were dear, yeah. So.
And the interesting thing with the vaccine with cattle, hopefully you know this, and just to confirm or keep me right, if they're is it 3 months? They have to be vaccinated for 3 months, then they can go anywhere. Or 2 months? Is it 60 days?
Yeah, they need. So cattle need double inoculated, and then they have to do. I don't think it's as long as that. I might be wrong. People better check, but there's a certain amount of time. I think it's only is it 60 days after the second vaccination?
I think it's something like that.
Something like that.
Whereas sheep, we should say, is. And this is where I have a feeling that the pedigree job, I mean, it'll be hit, but the higher end pedigree job, like your Texels and things like that, I don't know if it'll be hit so bad, because with them, you can pay your fee, your 48 quid, have them tested, and then they're fine to go anywhere.
Yeah. But the problem we have with that is timescale. They've got to be tested within 7 days of going to the sale. So when you draw your blood, you've got 7 days to get the blood away, back, and know that you're going to a sale. Yeah. And they say they're coping with it fine now. We're end of June, start of July. Nobody's done it.
No, there's no demand.
You get into August, September. I can imagine it'll be a whole different scenario to where we are now.
But then if we look at guys like our, friendly Wal and Blackwood there, that sells a lot of Texels, and I suppose even the Logie Durno boys and stuff like that, that travel about, they go to a lot of these markets south, like Carlisle and stuff, because they want to, reach a new market. And whereas arguably all that will probably happen now is the buyers will just need to travel. Yeah. What's the point in taking a sheep there when the buyer could come to the sheep? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I think it will change. It will change people's business plans a bit, certainly for the short term, and then we'll have to see what happens in the long term, whether the midges cross the border or not.
I take it you guys fought it hard.
How hard can you fight it?
I'd imagine you'd get lawyers involved.
No. at the end of the day, you're fighting a government agency and you're fighting against three, four governments. So
we know the government's been wrong plenty, and they've been beaten. They've been beaten before on things. Like,
yeah, absolutely. But
they just have more resources, perhaps.
They've got more resources. They've done a lot of due diligence on cross-border trading and know how many millions of pounds worth of stock goes each way. I think really, from a Scottish government point of view, if they weren't seen to be looking to protect the Scottish farmers in any which way they could, then you would question it as well, wouldn't you? So
yeah, I take it your general feeling is you're a bit of disdain or dissent towards the Scottish government's view. I mean, it's easy for me to see here, and I've said before, I agree with it, I think.
Yeah.
From a selfish point of view, and that if you guys all vaccinate down south, will the Bluetongue even come up here?
Yeah, I mentioned
very selfish.
Yeah,
I know,
I mentioned I was going to Welshpool the other day, so I went to like Wrexham, Chester, down that road, and I was in and out of. I stayed on the same road the whole way.
Oh yeah,
and I was in and out of Wales.
That's the same road that we go to the Royal
exactly.
Welsh. Aye.
It's like welcome to Wales.
I'm in Wales now. I'm in England.
Yeah,
I'm in Wales.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's the same with our border as well. You know, there's farms that have fields that are sat in England and Wales, and England and Scotland too. So
the Wales, England and Scotland, I can accept has been different in terms of climate.
Yeah,
and perhaps a slightly better line of the border, but because it's more up and down, but whereas the Welsh thing in terms of climate and geography, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
Like, the Wales one does not make sense to me.
Wales.
Someone made the point to me it's the Welsh government's way of screwing the farmer again.
Yeah,
that's controversial, but we know Labour in Wales do not like the farmer.
We always blame the government for whatever, and a lot of the time, probably quite rightly so. But you can see, as hard as it is to sit here as a livestock auctioneer sat on a border, I'm not going to sit and criticise what they've done. What they've done is what they've done.
But you can be honest and say you don't like it.
Yeah,
it's just a personal opinion. You're not speaking for H&H, you're just telling me what you think of it. And
for me, okay, a government official sat in an office looking at a map and looking at a border and thinking, that's a good idea, doesn't wash at all, to be honest. But everybody has jobs to do. Unfortunately, the people that are making them decisions, to me, look so far out of touch with what actually happens in agriculture and in the trading of livestock throughout the UK, whether it be England, Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland, which we have problems trading with them all now because of this.
Yeah.
It's inhabiting free trading, I would say.
Yeah, that's a fair... I mean, I think with the Scottish one, I know some of the people that are involved with it and whatever. I mean, I think they were fairly tapping into, what do we call them, industry experts, or certainly industry bodies.
Yeah.
For advice and how to proceed on it. I don't think it was just like John Swinney saying X, Y, and Z. And as I say, as I stand, I am kind of on the side of it's actually a good thing for protecting us.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
It might be daft. It might be nonsense. I know the argument the midge can travel, but they haven't really came to Northern England. I know that Yorkshire's there's a touch, but
yeah,
they haven't came to you guys yet.
No, Cumbria and Northumberland, there's been no cases. But, you know, at the end of the day, the border is north of that. So that's fine. And like I say, I think from a, if I was sat in your shoes, then I would be saying, our government's doing what they can to protect what we have, and quite rightly so. It's a massive industry throughout the UK, agriculture, and it needs protected. But there's just odd things. I think if it'd come out at the start with a clear plan and a clear vision, there's been so much delay and mixed messages, and it's so difficult. We sat here today trying to explain what the rules are to people. It shouldn't be down to us to sit and explain what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
It should just be simplified and out there, which we have tried to do this week on Facebook.
I saw your post. That was how this podcast came about.
The thing is, the guys that make the decisions, they aren't they're not fielding the calls.
Yeah.
The levels of calls that H&H have handled in the last month is astronomical. All asking, oh, what about Bluetongue?
Yeah.
You know, what we're going to do? What does this mean for us? And really, yes, we get information to us probably faster than your everyday farmers would, but at the same time, it's not up to us to decide or interpret a rule to somebody. It should be out there.
It should be clear. Aye, they write a 20-page document.
Exactly.
With all this gobbledygook, rather than just. I saw your post. It's very good. It just like don't do this and do this, and you can do this and can't do that.
Just a bit of like a traffic light system as to who can go where and who can sell what and what you need to do to sell in them places. Just.
I mean, the big thing. I take it your bread and butter is prime stock, is it? And store. Store. Well, I suppose store lambs is going to be. But then most store lambs go south, do they not?
Yeah, there's a lot of store lambs go.
There's some go northeast.
Stop local or go down the way.
Yeah. So like, hopefully, as you said, your prime lamb sales, prime cattle won't be affected. Store cattle, yeah, okay, I get the store cattle thing, but as you say, it opens opportunities. There's plenty of boys have been probably held back buying store cattle, now thinking this might be a chance to get some, and it'll probably keep the trade where it is anyway.
Yeah. And we're lucky that way because you guys can come to us with no consequence. If you look at like my friends in Welsh Bull Market, for example, the English lambs that they rely on can't get into Wales.
Oh, yeah.
So they've got a whole different.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, all our bread and butter, quite rightly, is commercial stock, and from a commercial stock point of view, we're not going to be too badly affected.
No, that's a very good point because we can still go. But then,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to think now. I mean, there wouldn't be many people from south selling prime stock in Scotland.
No,
really.
no.
'Cause you have to pass Carlisle, Longtown, all these markets in the borders.
You're passing a lot of markets. The stock that are coming from the south generally, quite frankly, quite a lot of them stop before they ever get to Carlisle. So that isn't a problem. And we can still sell prime sheep from Northern Ireland, England, Scotland and Wales. Fine, no problem. But when you get down there and you've got like little markets, like McCartney's run a lot of little markets down the Welsh border, which a lot of the townlands are in both countries, and they can only service like one half of the client base or whatever, you know.
It's another example of why Wales not been in it is ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely ridiculous. And how wide is Wales? You know, it's like 1-2 counties wide.
Oh, as I go back to it in terms of, you know, if we use the equator as the measure, in terms of climate and everything.
Yeah.
It's all on a par with like England. Like it's
exactly
Scotland. At least we're colder. We have less midges. I know we're famous for midges, but our midges die off a lot quicker than they do south.
Yeah, the climate's completely different. The Welsh climate will be far more akin to the south of England than Carlisle will be.
Even Carlisle, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
it's just
there's
what
a lot to be said for.
What can you do?
A lot to be said for maps, isn't there? So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as we've said, the pedigree job, it probably will take a hit, but time will tell on that. But I think the big message, and worth me saying as well, I think that I sent 500 lambs down to Lincolnshire or Lancashire.
Yeah, Lincolnshire.
Lincolnshire.
Probably,
Well, they went to Melton Mowbray.
Right.
That'd be Lincolnshire, is it? Or somewhere down that way?
Yeah. It will be one of the closer markets to Lincolnshire.
I think it was the closest one to wherever the lambs were.
Yeah.
And that was the Bluetongue zone. I sent them down when it wasn't.
Yep.
And then within a fortnight of them being there, it became within the Bluetongue zone. And of course, this was just as we were going to buy the farm salmon. I was like, oh God, what's going to happen to these lambs? And if anything, I'd say there were maybe, because the Bluetongue zone was smaller at that time and folk, there were maybe a couple of quid less. There was actually nothing in it. And now, because all the abattoirs, all the markets in England are all within this zone, that's the great thing about expanding the zone.
Yeah.
There'll be no impact.
Absolutely. From that point of view and that perspective, all of England being in the zone was 100% the right thing to do. The whole of the UK being in a zone is probably the right thing to do, but we can sit and argue that toss for.
Yeah, I spoke to a friend in Germany who they were getting really hit bad with the Bluetongue, and they're all vaccinated now, and he says it has made a huge difference. Like
Good, yeah.
they're pretty much through the wave of it now.
That is our, as a company, that really is our message, to get vaccinated as soon as possible, and hopefully, some of the losses that people have experienced on the continent, for the cost of the vaccine, it's a no-brainer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think with sheep, is it 25% of infected sheep that die?
Aye,
and I think cattle, it's like infertility, and I don't think cattle die, but they're just...
No, I don't think it'll kill a cow.
No, but they're infertile.
Infertile, and we're just waiting at home we don't have a lot of cattle now, but we're just waiting at home now to do the cows and leave the bulls until mating season's over, really, to get them done. So
to give them a hit, yeah. No, I'll need to get on my list of my cows too. So James, before we wrap this up, we're on the hour there. The market's booming. It's good.
Yep.
I'll need to work through whom again. I need to get somebody for Lanark next. I've had Raymond from UAE. We've had Jim from Ayr. We've had you from Carlisle. Need to get some other folk lined up and make sure it's a nice balanced debate.
Yeah.
Where's Carlisle going? Is it grow and grow?
Yeah, we're looking to grow. We're always looking at market share, where we can pick up things. But really our focus is sustainable growth as well. And really our vision for the future is more agri-hub than just livestock market. Mm-hmm. So bringing in more of our sister companies into the... really to be more accessible and look at other avenues of providing stuff for farmers all on one site. I think that's... You
mean like in the wee foyer, you've got like a...
Yeah, exactly.
There's different, not shops, but different... Well, there's some shops and things like that. Yeah, just make it a...
Yeah. If
like a shopping mall for farm.
Exactly, like a one-stop shop. Come and buy your fertiliser, do whatever. Just make it like an agri-hub. Doors, feed, whatever. I think that would be my vision anyway. Whether it aligns up with exactly what the directors want to do, we'll wait and see. But in terms of livestock marketing, we see huge value in it. We think we provide a fantastic service for farmers, and we're just willing to push on with that and ensure the future, really.
And for yourself, you've been there 22 years now. Mm-hmm. Why are you not a director yet?
Good question. No. That's not one I can answer. 22 years, yeah. I've been there 22 years, but relatively young in the industry still.
Yeah. Is that the next step for you? Where's the next promotion? Like, what is the next step from
where I am?
Yeah.
So basically, we've got a managing director of the company, of the farm stock company, Robin Anderson, and then after that, there's a management team. I sit on that. There's 5 of us: myself, Grant Anderson, Laura, Glyn Lucas, the dairy guy you spoke to before, and Michael Armstrong in the office. So we sit below him, and we do get. We're lucky to be able to make a lot of the decisions for the business. In terms of that, probably the next step for me, if it ever came my way, would be the managing director's role, but that's not on the cards.
What age is Robin?
Soon. Robin's 62, 63.
Yeah, it might be on the cards soon.
Yeah, well, yeah. But at the moment, I think you talk about directorships and leadership roles and stuff. I still love being an auctioneer.
Yeah, okay.
And doing that and trying to do my day job takes up an awful lot of my time without being too bogged down with the legislation and worrying about,
Do you know who you're starting to sound like?
Who?
A footballer when he gets asked if he wants to move to the bigger team. He's like, no, I love it here at this club. I love being on 50 grand a week when I could have 100. I love playing. I'm sure when the opportunity comes up, you'll be fit for the job. But I'll not put you under pressure with that one. It's been a final word now, because this just popped in my head just when you mentioned Glyn there. I saw you've got the big dispersal. Well, not big. I call it dispersal. Big sale anyway. We'll call it for Robbie and Margot Scott and Robbie Scott.
Yes.
Glyn is doing the big sale for them as well. That looks like a special one too.
Yeah.
How do you get so much dairy work? Why are you such a big dairy market?
Dairy market, I think livestock markets are very dependent on people, and Glyn is massively into his dairy, and people buy into that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
he brings tremendous value to the business, and people want him to market the dairy cattle because he has so much in-depth knowledge. We're in an area where there is a lot of dairy farmers as well, so we do have big monthly sales, and with Glyn's pedigree knowledge as well. He was down doing a sale in Devon on Tuesday. You know,
For H&H, obviously.
For H&H, yeah.
Okay, another on-farm dispersal
another
thing.
on-farm
Yeah.
dispersal, Marti based on-farm
Yeah.
dispersal. Yeah, so it's really just having the right people with industry knowledge to pick up those sort of sales. And Robbie's supported us in Carlisle tremendously well monthly, so he's got a tie in there with us, and yeah.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Good to
I'm
go.
sure you'll do the job.
Yep.
Well, listen, James, been fantastic. I'm
No,
going to
thank
take out
you.
much of our time. Thanks for running up here and doing this and for putting the word out there. Good man.
Good man,
Cheers,
thank
mate.
you.
And we're back. Fantastic from James to come in. Well kent face. Good chat about his market reports. If you haven't seen them, look up H&H on Facebook. He always does a good market report each week. I should also say, sorry about that Herdwatch advert. That was...
We'll get better.
We'll
We
get-
will get better.
Yeah, or worse. But I could have... I've not heard the edit yet because obviously we've just recorded it, but that could come out fantastically well.
Do you think?
Or it could be terrible.
Yeah.
Like you think. Like we both kind of think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, good. Another podcast out. Sorry, Iona wasn't there. We did that on a Thursday. That was Iona's work from home day. She does babysitting on a Thursday.
I do.
Is that right?
little nieces.
Yeah, little nieces. Take them to nurse. No, school's finished now.
Yeah.
So they're
School
just
holidays.
they're just there all day.
Just there all day.
Oh my God. So it went from being like
Go to the farm.
quite easy to pat them off to dad.
Yeah.
I like it. Does
They
he
love
take-
going out with Grampy. That's like they love that. Jumping on the wheel bags.
Oh, so do you actually? So do you just dump them there, then you go away, then come back and get them, and then take them home before your sister realizes?
No. I'll stay with them.
Ah, right, okay. Is dad finished his sheep shearing?
Next week. Next week he'll be done.
Well, he said to me your mum was listening to the podcast with Ryan,
Yes.
but you never mentioned. She said she enjoyed it, but she never mentioned what she thought of my impression of her. Did she mention that?
Oh no, she didn't
not
actually
mention
mention
that?
it. No, she didn't.
Right, okay.
Was that in that one?
Yeah, was that not at the start of that one? We're talking about you doing the violin.
Yeah. Was that the start of Ryan's? Yeah.
Oh no, is that next week's one?
Was that Friday catch up?
Oh, that's Friday catch up. We have actually recorded a Friday catch up this time, so ignore what I just said. You'll hear about violin telling us about how she used to play the Iona. So we'll have that. This
Do you want to know something? Sorry, just a wee side note.
no, for people listening, absolutely do not.
Ailey.
They love a side
So I've
note.
got a sister called Ailey.
Yep.
And her friends,
Good Scottish names, actually.
yeah, her friends sometimes called me ukulele
Okay.
because I look like Ailey. You look like Ailey, ukulele.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
not
that
bad.
good?
That is not a bad link there to
Yeah.
a nickname. That's quite good. Maybe throw that one in. Nah, it wouldn't work. You ever seen the Aussie guys that do all the nicknames?
Yeah,
The boy that has the limp and they call them the Sniper's Nightmare.
yeah.
I love that
one.
one. I love that one. Anyway, that is it for another week. We better go. We're getting stuff ready to be at the Yorkshire Show. This will be out on day one. It's Tuesday, day one of the Yorkshire Show.
Yes.
So this is out on day one of the Yorkshire Show. If you're coming along, do come and see us. Iona won't be there, sad to say. Usual spot, down by the shearing. Look forward to see some of you there. I've been Cammy.
I've been Iona.
And we're all
Fed by farmers.